This is Jack Eichel. You're listening to Missin Curfew.
What's Missin Curfew? It's when you kind of play guilty, but you show up.
How nice is a green light on the road, though? No practice tomorrow, no plane, just go.
Scotty Upshall in the clear, and he scores! Right in front, scores!
A few laughs, a little bit of fun, and obviously a lot of hockey talk.
You're listening to Missin Curfew.
Fellas, coming to you from Hall Pass Media, Newport Beach. This is Missin Curfew. Obes, the up dog, and we got the J Swish back. Fellas, how we doing? Up dog, you always got the collared shirt on. You got the Eddie Vedder with the chain going on. Yeah. But to see J Swish pull out the collared shirt for the lads, you know, you look like, do you have an audition after or a meeting, or you just dressed to impress today, fella?
Oh, boys, like I was telling you before we got going here, is you always, first of all, you always got to look good. Number two, you never know who's going to be seeing these clips, right? You never know.
You never know.
There might be showing out, you know, looking for some hockey clips. You might repost it on a story. One of you might repost it. All of a sudden, hey, who's that guy? Why is he looking so good? What's he doing? What's his name? Is he single? How old is he? So these questions start getting going, Obi, and I'm always a guy that you got to be over-prepared than under-prepared. So that's why I got the old button down. And we had an all-star on today and Jack Eichel. So, you know, talking foreign nations with a guy that's, you know, one of the best players in the league, you got to look crispy. It's just fitting.
It's a primetime outfit for a primetime guy.
He looks good, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you always look good, but you look fucking sharp.
Can I give you a little backdrop on my T-shirt?
Sure.
So a little bit of talk.
Background?
Backdrop.
Backdrop.
Yeah, background. We were talking a little bit about the Spectrum the other day with the Broad Street Bullies and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And this was a Neil Young show that I saw at the Spectrum with Loops when we played there in 2008, right before they tore the fucker down. And, you know, concert T-shirts, I probably speak to the masses out there. Like, they're ones that the old lady looks at you and like, hey, eventually you got to throw one of these out. Like, so you got too many fucking T-shirts. You got too many hats. Like, I hear this hat thing all the time. I'm like, I'm going to give these fucking sick lids to Beckham one day. Like this Pearl Jam hat or whatever, right? Don't mess with my hats, okay? Take my socks and my underwear, but don't touch my hats or my T-shirts.
And take my manlyhood, but don't take my T-shirts, all right? Take my freedom, but don't take my T-shirts.
Look at this. Neil Young, 2008. Anyway, fucking hey, my. But, thanks, bro.
Yeah, you got the Eddie Vedder look going. You look like you can go on stage right now.
Fucking ready to go. Where are we going after? You got the all black, by the way, today. It looks good. I picked
up some new James Purse's T-shirts, boys. I'm not going to lie. Like, the last
Treat
time
yourself.
last time I had a James Purse T-shirt, it couldn't fit my fat ass. And ordered some new ones, and you know what? They fit me, so I feel pretty good about, you know, being able to squeeze into a double XL James Purse, you know, because they're kind of a little.
Did you go to the one on 17th there?
I went in there to do some recon on material on what I wanted for thickness and stuff like that. But I just went home and then ordered a bunch online. Yeah. To me, it's just like, you know, I went in there after I had hotcakes one morning, and I went in there and just said, let me see, you know, didn't even try any on. I probably should have, but I was feeling more material. And then I went online and just bought a bunch of. I wanted to see if I could. I didn't want to try them on there and not fit into them. I wanted to get home and see if they could.
They got a nice sweater in there.
Do they
make a nice sweater? Yeah. You know, the sweater game. It gets the the nice chilly fall weather. It's not so much winter down here as it is fall. Yeah. But that nice sweater. Not the ones that get you itchy.
Yeah. I love the extracurricular stuff that Dustin Johnson has too. He's got some really nice crew neck sweaters. I got a bunch of those for Christmas, so I'm rocking those.
Nice.
I can dress it up like Jay Swish now if I have to. If I can throw on a nice sweater if I got to go to a somewhat of a function. Other than that, I just had like a leather jacket in my closet. I needed something
multi-purpose outfit.
Yeah, I don't have many colored shirts like that either. To be honest with you, I should probably add that to my wardrobe. But speaking of wardrobe, boys, obviously we touched on the fires in LA, how awful it was. Well. Myself and Mac Miller, we cleaned out our closets, and whatever double XL guys up there in LA County, they're going to be rocking around Missin Curfew T-shirts, because I must have sent 50 Missin Curfew T-shirts, a couple Missin Curfew hoodies. So, in all seriousness, we're happy to donate. But if they do like them, they'll be walking around Missin Curfew gear.
Yeah, no, I think it's doing your part, and I think everyone in and around this area is affected by these devastating fires in some fashion, but. Yeah, donating the warm clothes, the blankets. We gave some pillows, a lot of our kids' stuff, like my little guy's sneaks, which are still good. Like a lot of the stuff for kids we sent up. So we're doing what we can, man.
Yeah, and if you are looking to donate, I did some research, and I was actually talking to A-Hall when I came in here today. I guess the biggest thing is undies and socks. Everyone needs, that's what they, who doesn't need undies and socks? But if you're looking to donate, that's what I guess the most desperate stuff is. They want some fresh pair of Gitch. And
Just make sure there's no holes in the one ball.
I couldn't
pajamas.
send any of my underwear. All my Lululemons. There's not one pair that doesn't have some kind of rip in the nutsack. Not a one. She's like,
Just streaky.
Mac Miller's like, your underwear's got ripped. I go, well, if you're gonna throw up my underwears that have rips in them, I don't have any Gitch. So unless you want to go to Lulu and drop a G note on underwear, I mean, hey Swish, I'm gonna have to battle through this left nut hanging out.
Isn't it funny too? You go to Lulu and you want to just restock your underwear because you've had it for 5-6 years, and you walk out of it like you said, Obes, you're like $1,000.
Yeah.
I got 20 pairs of underwear and that's it.
Yeah.
What are these going for a pop? Yeah, it ain't cheap, baby.
Just to like keep the balls tucked in there nice. Why not just let them free fall? Free ball it.
Little Johnny Mayer free falling.
Yeah, free. Yeah.
Kramer style.
What a cover, eh? That Johnny Mayer one. Yeah, it's a nice cover.
Kramer in Seinfeld when he gets off boxer briefs and he's like, so you're off the briefs? You wear boxers? He's like, no. He's like, Jerry's like, oh no, you don't know what's going on here. I'm out there, Jerry, and I'm loving every minute of it. We have a thing. This shout out to our boy Benny McAllister. Anytime it's like a ball out, he'll just say on the golf course, he'll be like ball out. Instead of saying ball out, he'll just say old pajamas. Hey, you're not hanging out. One ball out. Old pajamas. Speaking about tunes, I wanted to ask you guys: have you seen the movie yet with Bob Dylan? I got it right here. It's called A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan story. You got kids. You probably haven't watched the movie since Beckham's been born, but apparently it's an unbelievable flick. I haven't seen it. And the guy who plays Johnny Cash, this is what I wanted to talk to. I guess he is just mangled in the whole movie.
Awesome.
Like Johnny Cash is just banged up on pills and awesome.
So
on pills.
So it's about Johnny.
It's
Johnny's
about
in there,
Bob
but Bob
Dylan.
Dylan. Oh, so there's probably a bunch of good old
Yeah.
fucking classic guys in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I jump on while talking about music?
Sure.
I'm watching this new. Well, it's probably not so new, but The Day of the Jackal on Peacock. It's an unbelievable show, and the music is insane. Radiohead.
Real good show. So good.
Oh, it's fucking unbelievable. This is Assassin. Takes place in all the best cities in Europe, but he's like a hired like old school British M16 fucking sniper, but the music is insane. There's some fuck scenes. There's some awesome killing scenes. Nice cars.
They teach you how to underline in college, not the fuck scenes they don't.
No, but boys, I highly, highly recommend this. But the music in it is awesome. Yeah. Great tunes. And what better than a nice show? 10 episodes. It's not 8, so you get that little extra. And then the music just, get you going.
They're basically like this guy's hired to kill like the Elon Musk of like this.
That is very
alternate
true.
reality,
And the Elon Musk
the shot he takes is insane.
Basically, in a nutshell, he's hired to kill this guy who's going to unleash this program called River, which is going to give all the money back to the people of the world, like it's in some fashion, right, Kyle? And before
Kyle,
before the big banks, like the big players, allow him to do it. They hire this hitman to kill him before he puts the software out to the world, and that's basically the story. But this guy just he does face masks. He like impersonates people, and he's just a pure assassin. Awesome.
Listen,
show.
It's nice to see some good shows out there because they're hard to find. They're few and far between nowadays, Jay Swish. I just got through that Landman. I mean, all I do is watch hockey, but when the games are so bad, I turn them off, and I just got through Landman. But other than that, it's hard to find a good show nowadays, Jay Swish.
Yeah, I mean, it truly is. I'm going to check out that Bob Dylan movie because anytime you mention Johnny Cash, I'm a big walk the line guy, and even take that one step further, you got Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, and that's just an all-timer. So
Classic.
I'm going to have to check that out, Obi. But I'm like you, brother. I'm watching sports all the time. We got tennis on now, so when you find a good show, they are few and far between.
Well, unlike us, you're single still, too. After these games are over, I wouldn't be watching shows. I'd be out chasing it. I'm in Scottsdale. I'm in Old Town. I'm fucking going.
That's why he only made 11 days sober.
Yeah,
He's fucking out there chasing it. He is.
I'm fucking rewinding the clock, bud, and I'm going back to Old Town, and I ain't fucking coming home.
I ain't fucking leaving.
Yeah, you guys were telling me about that new golf league that we're going to get into, too. I'm like, I haven't even heard of this yet because I haven't been able to sit down and watch it. But the other night, I caught a little bit of an Obes. It wasn't bad, fella. Do you see that skull from Kisner out of the bunker? Oh, my God. He hit the pin. That was like 20 yards over the green, and then he almost holed out on the next shot coming back.
Yeah, it was Kisner absolutely slashed it. I mean, it was Kisner hit. I don't think he hit one quality shot. I mean, it almost got to the point where they were just laughing at him. I thought Max was great. I thought Tiger, really showed his personality. But yeah, it was a slash fest by Kevin Kisner. Tiger coming out to Eye of the Tiger was unbelievable. The atmosphere in there because it was Tiger was unbelievable. It was another blowout up dog. They have to figure out a way to keep these matches a little bit closer. But I like that they're just kind of having a good time and screwing around. I like that aspect.
Yeah, I read a really great breakdown on X from this guy that was at the Tiger event, and he said like arena golf is awesome, right? Everything from, in tennis, like, and we'll get to tennis, but tennis, the ball boys, they run and grab the balls. Well, they have that in this stadium. The boys, these young guys are running out to get the golf balls after they hit them. To the guys that are raking the bunkers, they come out like, there should be like ice girls, babes skating around, but maybe the babes come out with the rakes, right?
Yeah, they should have more. They definitely need more girls.
A little more sex appeal
in everything.
You know what else I was
There's not
thinking
enough
is maybe have a DJ there, like a DJ.
Oh, they're pumping tunes. Though.
Yeah, I know they're pumping tunes, but maybe have like in between the period, guy comes out.
Oh, the halftime show.
Yeah, like get some fucking Rufus out there, or maybe some 2 Chains or something.
I just think you said this last week, or I think they might be onto something where maybe it's not all PGA Tour guys, and it's just like for the first year they got to do it, but maybe next year it's a PGA Tour guy, an actor, or someone else, an ex-pro athlete or something, and just make it more fun than just trying to be so serious. Because I don't know if it's ever going to be that competitive that you're going to get these guys like under the gun, but it can be a fun thing and show their personality and still play for some cash and make it more fun. Because arena golf, I think, is here to stay. Like I said last week, there's tons of potential, and I like where it's going, but there's room for improvement. Obviously.
Yeah, and golf is for everybody type thing, right? But everyone likes to gamble on the golf course. Everyone wants to have a shot that means something out there. That's why I like to play for money. But yeah, I think that it could showcase other sports, but still have the high quality shots that are going to be made, moments that are there to like get the blood flow pumping. I like, down the shot clock where it gets to 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, the heartbeat pumps like the old Tiger video. It's got a lot of great things to it, but it will evolve, and I'm excited to see that.
And with Tiger there, so many celebs showed up too, right? Because Tiger just moves the needle, Jay Swish.
Yeah, 100%. I like what Uppy's onto in terms of bringing out those girls that are raking the bunker, kind of like side girls, spicing it up, tunes in there. But is this where we're at with sports, boys? I mean, they just announced this Snow League, too, that's going to debut in Aspen in March of 2025. That's Sean White, a.k.a. the Flying Tomato. They're going to bring in this snowboard league. Like, is this where we're at with sports? Or just going to be, like, way more obscure, like X Games and just, like, non-traditional like sports within the sport? Like, are we going to see a 3-on-3 hockey league that was kind of rumored this summer? Like, is this where we're going with sports?
Listen, the 3-on-3 hockey league, I thought it was a go, and then obviously the funding fell through. They couldn't find places to play. That was the problem with that. I thought they had the money to back it. They just couldn't find anywhere to play. Long Beach fell through. They didn't have a barn in Phoenix. They couldn't play at the iconic Mullet. San Diego fell through. So
was that the 3-on-3? Well, they know that thrice is 3-on-3. Was that other one going to be a 3-on-3? It was, right? Our boy Richie
Major
was
League Hockey 3-on-3.
It was too.
Yeah.
I'd like 3-on-3. It needs to be a smaller rink. Yeah. But put the hockey aside to answer your question. All the sports that are high flying, fucking snowboarding, skiing, mountain biking, all that stuff. Like, I think you put those into like a little arena tours, and it's a good product. Like, I mean, I don't watch the X Games, but what's better than seeing the Flying Tomato, like you say, up close and personal, doing fucking 1080s and putting his life on the line? But then it gets to the thing like, these guys are going to get fucking hurt, and they can't do it till they're 40. Like Tony Hawk can probably still get out there and rip on a skateboard, but I don't know, to what age do they want to just beat their fucking bodies up again?
So it depends how much money they're making, right? Yeah. I mean, if these guys are making bank, I'm sure they want to go out there and still, like, they think they can do it, right? Like, they can. Yeah, Sean White could probably still pull off some kind of moves, right? Swish, like, I'm sure he's not tip top form, but
maybe he show a good Canadian fella out of Sax, Mark McMorran.
Oh, I love that guy.
He's a beauty. I met him up in Edmonton over the Stanley Cup final this past year, and he was a good dude. He's about my age, so I don't know. I just think like there's so many ways to view content now. There's so many different ways to get into different avenue of sport. Like, I think we're in for a really exciting time, boys, with just all these different leagues and nuances. And, sure, half of them might be a flop over time, but some of them are going to stick, and it's going to be cool to see that moving forward.
Listen, I was never a huge fan of the 3-on-3, but Uppy, you're onto something here. A smaller barn, smaller ice surface, smaller rink, enclosed, like almost building what they did in Palm Beach for this golf thing. Build a little small rink, play on the weekends. Everyone comes in for the weekend, you play, and then you go home. Like the NLL, the Cross Boys, they used to do that in Denver. They come in for practice or play on Friday, Saturday, fly back and work all week. I'm not saying these guys have to work, but I think you're onto something if you build a smaller ice surface in a more intimate arena, 3-on-3 with X players that they wanted to do. I think that could be appealing to fans.
Well, here's one better. Take the golf arena that they just built in Palm Beach, fucking freeze it, turn it into off season. It's a 3-on-3 hockey game. I'm sure Gretz would jump on board with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's the right size. That could be the right size barn. You got those nice leather seats.
That's a great size barn.
That's a great size barn for that.
Great size barn. I watched it last night too on the TGL. The guy that they bring the grass out, bring it outside, and then he's got this old one fucking mower that he just mows it with. This guy, he's taking care of the grass at SoFi Stadium in Palm Beach. It's just like they put it outside and he just mows it with one little mower. And he's just like, it's like he's growing weed back there. Like he's taking care of it just by himself. He's like, look at this, You can roll that one up and smoke it.
It's like the ball trimmer. He's got the ball trimmer by Manscaped.
Yeah. I love the TGL. I'm with Updog. We need closer events. Moving on here, boys. Keeping it on sports. I know you guys are both great tennis players. Love watching it. Updog loves betting on it. The Aussie Open, which Jay Swish, we touched on it. I was on your show Live in 5 yesterday, and we talked about year-end benders. I told you how me and Loops went to Sydney for 2 weeks. Man, maybe a trip to Melbourne for the Aussie Open. I watched a little bit of it last night or this morning or wherever the fuck it was, whatever time it is there. They seem like they're really drunk down there, right? Because I know the Aussies like the beer. The atmosphere seemed good. I have a question. Is that court the same as U.S. Open court, Jay Swish? Is it just a hard court just as fast, or is it a little different?
No, it's a hard court.
Same
thing. I mean, it's obviously down in the down under, but yeah, man, it's been a great tournament so far. Medvedev played in the 5-set banger this morning. The game started at like 3 a.m. our time, and it ended at like 9 a.m., so it was almost a 6-hour match. Emma Navarro, a.k.a. Emma Sneaky 7 Navarro, one of my favorites. Got it done last night, too. She's just one of the ultimate grinders, Obes. I don't know if you've watched a ton of her game, but she's never out of the fight. She's a good American. She comes from like a billionaire family, but she's just got that junkyard kitten in her. Like she's never out of a match, and I love how she plays and competes. She came from behind last night and got it done, so she's actually moving on to the 3rd round. She's an 8 seed, but man, there's nothing better than just watching a major in tennis. It's so much fun, man. Even the women's side, I enjoy actually more now than the men's.
I enjoy the women's more as well. And that has to do with
I know why.
That has to do with my girl Saba Blanca. I love her. She brings the heat. She hits it harder than some guys. But I did see this morning that Sinner lost his first set to an Aussie guy. Did he come back and win that one, Jay Swish, or is that still going on?
Yeah, he won in 4. He cleaned him up.
He did.
Yeah,
Sinner looking at
6-1, 6-3.
Yeah, looking at the DraftKings odds here, futures. Sinner is the favorite, plus 110 even money. Alcaraz plus 260. I mean, how do you count out Djokovic? This guy, had they let him play in the Aussie Opens and the U.S. Open those 4 or 5 years during COVID, I mean, this guy to be just touching records that no one would come close to.
Is Alcaraz, has he kind of not been as good as anticipated? I mean, I remember when Djokovic wasn't playing, he won, I think, his U.S. Open or maybe like, but has he underachieved a bit? Because a couple years ago when you're talking about this guy, like you thought it was like slam dunk, bet him to the house, and he hasn't won as much as he wanted. And that Sinner kid is kind of the reason too, right? Talking about a flying tomato, that Sinner kid does not look like he's from Italy, by the way. He's a redheaded, he looks like he's from Denmark or something.
And then he speaks, and he's a pure Italian. Looks good on the cover of like these, Vogue magazines and stuff. The kid's got some swag to him. But to touch on that, you got to be careful with Alcaraz betting him because sometimes he loses just a dud. And he comes on his Instagram and he apologizes and he's like, I'll get him next year. And I'm thinking, fuck, man,
I want my money back.
Yeah, it was just like minus 2,080. Like it's.
Yeah, some of those lines are gnarly.
But to touch on it, like Alcaraz, he puts his body through so much the way he moves. You cannot beat this guy with a shot, like a full court shot. And you would attest to this he is the fastest player probably to ever be on court. And that just takes a toll on your body, especially, he's a Spaniard, grew up on clay courts. So the clay is a little more forgiving. Grass is obviously the most forgiving. But on a hard court, after a tournament like this, like his body's wore down. He's moving at speeds that are, you put him in a race, he's like Tyreek Hill out there.
Yeah, and he was a little bit banged up too after the Olympics. He went and actually played in Cincinnati, then went to the U.S. Open. So he's kind of been a little bit behind the 8 ball. I think he's still trying to, find his screws again, one would say. But yeah, that's Sinner, man. Just like his forehand, the way he can just pink it down the opposite side line is insane. It's so much fun to watch, boys. Like when you get into those 5-set bangers, like it's mental warfare. And that's what I love about tennis because you can just wear a guy down. You could be down 0-2. You get that next set. and all of a sudden you got a little momentum. I just love seeing a guy just absolutely break down a guy out there on the court. It's so much fun to watch.
The mental toughness, physical toughness has got to be through the roof, right? Like, these guys are in unbelievable shape, but mentally, like, every point, it's literally point to point, right? Like, you know, you could be down double match point, the guy fights back or she fights back, and it's like, I love watching the U.S. Open, especially late night, as you would say, prime time at the U.S. Open. But the 5-set marathons, to me, are insane for these guys. And I often wonder, like, how do they feel the next day waking up? Like, is there some shin splints? Is their ankles fucked? Like, it'd be like playing a double overtime hockey game. It almost feel like you wake up that next day, like, you know, like you almost got hit by a truck, 5-setter. Like, that's tough on the body.
Like, Sinner's line tomorrow is minus 3,500. So for $100, you got to risk 35. You know,
Yeah.
3,500, right? That's a lot of money to risk for a $100 bet.
Yeah. So to win a G, you got to risk 35,000.
It's like, but he's gonna wax the guy in 3 straight.
I know, but what if he fucking gets hurt?
Then you got to give your balls a tug.
So if he gets hurt and loses, you lose the bet.
Lose the bet.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would sting.
But a good bet tomorrow, Djokovic, minus 450. I mean, tomorrow.
Who's he playing?
That's tonight, 12 a.m. He's playing Thomas Makash.
Yeah, Czech guy.
Checky.
The third round.
Checo, stinky Checo.
That's over at Rod Laver Arena.
Yeah, Rod Laver Arena. Then they have one court sponsored by Tequila down there, the 1538 court or something, right? That's sponsored by Tequila brand. How many? They got some big barns down there, though. I was watching this morning, like good surfaces to snap it around on.
Yeah, and then they got the other one, Margaret Court Arena, too. That's a good one. But yeah, I don't know. There's something different with just these tournaments, man. Like, how many games you have to win or sets or matches in a row. It's crazy. Like, these are some of the best athletes in the world, obviously, but it's just so much fun to watch. And like we said, the women's side, I love watching Sabalenka. I love how she's so good. Show out there. I love how if maybe we're getting down with her and she just beat the wheels off you. I just love everything about her game, and she's so powerful, boys. They're just out there with her energy and she's just a fucking badass.
Well, you said it. You thought she was hitting the ball faster than the men. She was at the U.S. Open hitting the ball faster than almost all of the men. It was insane.
What is Sablenka to win? What is her on DraftKings for her to win the mug?
Australian tournament props futures. Here we go. Sablenka's plus 140. So $1,000 wins you $1,400.
Yeah. So that's not good value in tennis, right? She's the favorite, obviously.
She's the favorite.
I
mean, Pegula plus 3,500. I mean, she was a U.S. Open fucking, got right there, baby.
How about Coco Gauff?
Coco Gauff plus 450.
She's absolutely just shredded, Coco Gauff. She is
mental
just
midget, though.
Is she?
Oh, is she ever? Oh yeah, mental midget, 100%.
We got Fernando. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, everything's got to be going her way. Otherwise, she's just looking at her coach. She's bitching. Watch her just body language. It's not perfect. You get her down in the match. And that's why I love Navarro, is because she's just a junkyard dog. She just grinds. Coco Gauff she gets really just.
There's a lot of that.
Boys.
There's a lot of that in tennis where they look at their coaching box and they're suck it up and just put your head down.
Let me ask you this. What is a more lonelier sport when things start to go sideways? Tennis or golf?
Golf.
But you got your caddy with golf.
Yeah, but you still got to just manufacture.
And there's
like tennis, at least the other person's beating you. Golf, you're beating yourself.
Yeah.
You have no one to blame but yourself for hitting that exact same awful.
Yeah, if you can't putt, if you can't, like when Rory missed that 1-footer at the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
Like that is just.
Golf's a lonely, lonely sport.
But tennis, when it goes sideways, these guys, you're like, oh my God.
At least you can break a racket though and go Johnny Mac style.
You can fucking break your putter or your club.
Yeah. I think you get away with it more in tennis though. No, like I think if you break your club in golf, you're kind of that meat stick. But in tennis, it's like
Kyrgios coming back. Sorry,
I love that guy.
He's the man. I watched him.
Is he back?
Yeah. He played.
He did.
Did he? Oh, that sucks.
I love that guy.
Good.
I'd like to get drunk with him in Australia.
Good Aussie. I watched him live at the Palm Beach, the Palm Gardens here in the desert play, and he smashed a racket that ended up flying like 6 rows up into the crowd. And it was just unbelievable. Like, because he didn't even really, it wasn't even a bad play. He just was like, fuck it. And he just shattered his racket. It flew up in the crowd. And I'm like, that's just real life stuff. He's not pretending.
Yeah, he's the bad boy of tennis. He's great. Good style, too.
He's good on air, actually, too.
I thought he retired, Swish. I thought he was just working TV and doing that side. So he tried to compete because it was his national championship or what?
Well, yeah, I mean, ultimately, he's only 29 years old, but it does sound like he said he kind of hinted at it might have been his last singles match at the Aussie Open in Melbourne. I don't think he truly wants to play anymore. Now, listen, I don't know the guy, but it just seems like he's kind of getting to that content, that media side of things where he realizes he can probably make a fuck ton of money and he doesn't really have to play even. And you know how he's always played, too. He's always just kind of fucking around out there, whether he's hitting like little dink shots. He's always just trying to embarrass his opponent. That's why I always loved watching him, because he wasn't there to beat you. He was there to just kind of make fun of you and embarrass you a little bit with just like little dinky shots to the legs and things like that. So he's always been an entertainer. I just don't know how much longer he truly wants to play. So.
Boys, some sad news real quick here. Bob Uecker. He had a hell of a run. 90 years old. I can only hope we all make it to that old. But Bob Uecker was a legend for many reasons. But for me, it was Major League. I mean, Major League and Major League 2. I mean, Major League's a classic. I mean, I was going over with Flowers this morning we were going toe-to-toe for, what's the word, of lines out of the movies. It's unbelievable. I'm going to watch Major League here in the next couple days because of respect to Bob Uecker, but this guy was an unbelievable guy. I mean, the scene in Major League 2 where he just gets hammered and passes out in the press box is a great one, but Bob Uecker did a lot of good things for baseball up here. I know in Milwaukee, he meant a lot to you guys for the Admirals, but he's a legend. I'm going to miss him in Major League. Check it out, boys. That's a class.
Yeah, it sure is. We had 2 Bob Uecker nights when I played there. I think my dad, Big Scott, still has the jerseys. They were unbelievable. Both plaid. The one was brown and beige. I mean, the ugliest things you've ever seen after some good sport jackets that the guy used to wear. But he did mean a lot in the Wisconsin world. I know you know that, Schmaltzy being a Wisco kid there for a while. So, heart goes out to an absolute legend in the baseball world and in the movie world there.
100%, especially all the good people in Wisconsin, especially guys, around my dad's age and buddy's dads. And I just remember I used to go over to my buddy's house in Verona, Wisconsin. His name was Spencer Schultz. His dad was a postman. And we'd go over there, Obes, and we would sit in the garage and we'd listen to Bob Uecker on the radio, chop it up, and he'd always give us MGD 64s. That was Miller Genuine Draft 64 calories. And he'd always look at me and go, Jodo, you know why they call them MGD 64s? I'm like, I don't know why. He goes, it takes you 64 to get drunk. So he'd always pass us around the MGD 64s. We listened to Bobby Uecker as, he'd be mowing the lawn. And that was just like the good old days of Brewer baseball. So those are always my vivid memories of listening to him and just the famous called Just a Bit Outside.
Yeah. He goes, how are these people laying off these quality pitches? Ball 4, ball 8, ball 12. Well, Vaughn's walked the bases loaded here. And another great one of his lines is his color guy doesn't say shit, eh? And he's like, what do you think about that, Monty? And he said something. He's like, dynamite dropping, Monty. Those broadcast school really paid off. Like, it was just, I mean, his character in that movie plays himself. But if there's any young fellas out here that are listening to Missin Curfew and you haven't watched Major League, do yourself a favor and throw it on. And Bob, rest in peace, buddy. You were a legend. Last but not least here on our intro, Princey put out a clip today. As Jay Swish always says, Princey can cut a nice clip. He can cut a nice clip, eh, Swish? Cuts a nice clip.
That's a great clip.
He found a clip of behind the scenes of the St. Louis Blues, which I could only imagine was a morning flight. Revo and Shaddy and Binner, I think, or I don't know who it was, were playing 7 Up, 7 Down or Schnarps or whatever. And it pans to Upshaw's seat. And you got the feet up with the fucking sleeping thing over, and you are just fucking out. I'm like, wow, he left it all. Wherever he was that night, he left it all wherever he went. You were done.
I was done. Now, looking at that, there was a couple things I noticed. Well, one, after games, I was never a sleeper. If the guys wanted to play poker with me, I was always welcome to a good game, but they know that they had to bring their checkbook, because it'd be rebuy central because I like to bet. But anyway, Shaddy was a great card player. He used to work that table. You had Bertuzzo, you had Revo, and then you usually had Jake Allen, I think, was in there.
Yeah, I think that's who it was.
But, I mean, I look back on those flights, and if they were in the morning after a good, solid shift out with the boys, like in Calgary or Vancouver or wherever the hell it was.
Dallas.
That was
Chicago,
when I was just
New
going.
York, L.A.
Headphones.
Scottsdale.
Glasses, or if you had the eye mask. Only a good veteran.
You had the eye mask.
A good veteran brought an eye mask on there.
You had an eye mask in this one, I think.
But usually I'd lay right on the ground. I used to get that spot behind the tables, in between where Panger and Chaser would be. There'd be a nice little spot where a cooler or some bags would go. Yeah. I'd just move that out, lay the blankets down, and just take
just fucking scratch your nuts for 4 hours.
4 hour shuts. Yeah, 4 hour shutsy.
Hey, shout out to Chaser. I was texting with him yesterday. He's fighting, he said every day's a fight always, but Chaser, we're thinking about you here at Missin Curfew. it made me realize when I saw that of flashback to when I played, and like you get home to the hotel and you're just fucking sideways, eh? Like you're just pinned. It's whatever time, 4 a.m, and you're like, oh, what? You look at the thing. It's like, okay, 9 a.m. bus. You're like, fuck, that's gonna come early. But like, all I got to do is just get on that bus, and from that bus, I got to get on that plane. And as long as I can do that, I'm gonna be fucking A-okay, right? So you just scrap yourself together. You get on the bus, sunglasses on. Get on the bird. The boy's like, oh, but you playing cards? You're like, no fucking chance I'm playing cards. And then you just put the seat back, and next thing you know, you wake up and you're in Chicago, Jay Swish. But I just remember, like, that's how spoiled we were in the NHL, I guess. All I had to do was get on that bus to make that plane. But at 4 o'clock in the morning, I was like, oh, that's still going to sting. And it still did sting when I woke up. I'm like, but I just got to get on that bus.
Yeah, and even just to see the clip of Uppy, and especially being around him a decent amount of time, is Ups, you had to be really hurting if you were.
Yeah, no.
If you were always a guy that was just buzzing. You were running the shop at the card table, or you were just kind of buzzing around, checking in on different guys. So if you were actually down for the count, like that's rare footage to see that, because you're rarely sleeping. You're the up dog.
This is what I meant. If there was if we had a team poker game, I would never have slept. I would have never. I can't sleep if there's a good gambling poker game going on, no matter how hurting I was. But even the hurting part, like I'd shower. I would never go to the fucking plane without looking proper. You got to shower and look like a pro.
Do your hair.
Be a pro. That's what I tell a young guy. Like if I catch a young guy, and I caught one early, I won't say his name, but he wasn't a shower. You play with him too, but he was never a guy that showered. And even if he did, he looked like he was stoned. And I'm like, hey, just so you know, you're gonna play a long time in this league. You're a hell of a player. But you gotta look like a fucking pro getting on this bird, because they might even think you went out and you didn't.
Yeah,
I get maybe you trick them by this is just how you look all the time, but like you'll realize soon enough it's gonna bite you if you don't like fucking act like a pro. Keep what you did the night before to yourself. Maybe tell a few boys. Because, there's a lot of loose lips, sink ships out there.
That was probably I made a lot of mistakes, but one of my biggest mistakes was telling everybody what I did.
Especially the trainers when you get in for a hot pack. A lot of trainers,
I got
you can't tell.
sizzled by so many trainers.
But in saying that, look like a pro, be a pro, and if there's a good card game, don't fucking sleep, because, money talks. You gotta
matter. I mean, some days when I got on that bird in the morning, they could have been playing for $1 million. I was like, I'm not playing, boys. I'm shutting her down. And I often talk about this, and shout out to Kit's Eye Care. I always had sunglasses no matter if it was fucking sunny or not. And guys would be like, oh, you're so cool with your sunglasses on. And I'm like, yeah, but that wasn't the reason. I'm like, if I wear my sunglasses every day pretty much, unless it was like a downpour or whatever, but if I wear my sunglasses every morning coming out here, they're not.
I'll attest to you where you and Loops can wear your sunglasses in the darkest fucking room. And I would look at you guys and I'm like, what the hell? You're like, oh, it's just, I'm comfortable with them. I'm like, fuck, I can't even see without them on here. And you guys are, they would rock the nice fucking Tom Fords inside. I'm like, this is actually impressive.
Yeah.
That's the best style. Shades at night at the bar.
Yeah. At the club, fucking having a time. Just that guy. But up dog, anyways, it was nice to see you back on the bird there with the boys. And I wish I could know what you got yourself into the night before that flight. I wish we could circle on the calendar what city he was coming from, where he was going, because you left it all out there and you must have had a time, buddy. But before we take a break here, this show is presented by DraftKings, fellas. DraftKings, the crown is yours. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Missin Curfew. Up dog, swish. It's the Missin Curfew. Dog of the week. Up dog texted me last night before the game and said, are you taking the Oilers? I said, I am. I said, Kaprizov's out, Spurgeon's out, Faber's out, Brodin's out. Fucking Minnesota actually hung in there. We'll get to that in our DraftKings bets. But Victor Arvidsson, to me, and Up, you have a little different spin on this, and I'm interested to see what you think. But to me, was a guy when they brought him in that I thought was going to be a big part of this team come playoff time. He's been hurt the last couple of years in L.A. He's been hurt this year to start the year in Edmonton. I love the way he played last night. I thought he had his jump back. I thought his compete down low. He's like a little water bug out there. He gets so low. He made Middleton look bad. A defenseman I love and would take on my team. But I just think Arvidsson last night, the way he played, he's my Missin Curfew dog of the week. And Uppy, in my opinion, the Oilers need him to play even better than that. But I'm starting to see the Arvidsson from Nashville and back in those days.
Yeah, your opinion's exactly right. Edmonton Oilers need depth. They need a guy that's been there. This guy played so well in his days in Nashville. One of the sole reasons they ended up having the success they did. But I actually, to see him as your dog of the week here made me kind of question what game
you
you're
didn't
watching.
Watch his first period, huh?
the first period, second period, I'm watching him, and I thought if I did that out there, I would be scratched the next 2 games. No matter if I was going into my hometown to play, if I had family on the road, if, it was my last game. If it was for 1,000 games for me and I did what he was doing. I mean, and I'm looking at his last 5 games. He's got 1 goal. He's got a couple apples, +2 last night in mini. He did make a great play in the third period. He came down, he danced the guy, made a great pass across to put Coles in, who fucking fanned on the shot. But he was just rushing plays in his own zone. And for a veteran guy like this, a guy that's, he's 31 years old, he's played 575 games, and he's got 376 points. So and a plus player his whole career. I love it. But in his own zone, he's rushing plays, and as a winger, never to rip it around the wall to the fucking dead side. That's like a no-no. It's just turning a puck over, and he did it twice in one shift, and I'm thinking, man, the veteran Arvidsson I know would be holding on to that puck, taking a hit, hitting that low D or a centerman, filling in for the centerman spot, not fucking Chinese fire drill. And I saw that, and I'm like, man, this is a tough couple shifts here I'm watching. And but to your point, the Oilers need him. They need him continually getting better to be the guy that, they didn't pay this guy to come in and be a fucking player for them in the regular season. They need him to play in the playoffs, and they need him to play big minutes against hard players, and that's what I think he can do. But right now, I was like, he's got to find his game, or he's going to get upshawled up there in the fucking presser. That was the way I felt.
So Jay Swish, Updog thinks there's a little more to Arvidsson's game here. I like where he's at, but what do you think moving forward? How important is he to the Oilers in your opinion?
So if you're looking at the team and you're Stanley Bowman and you're Knobloch there and you're kind of drawing up what he would be moving forward, especially at playoff time, is Victor Arvidsson one of those guys that you're banking on being your top 6 type of guy? Is he a second line right winger, or are you going to slot him in on the third line in like in a middle 6 position? Talk to me on that, Oath, because obviously he was a good player a few years ago. He's been injury plagued. But if you're looking at this team and you're just assessing it in a managerial position or a coaching position, is Victor Arvidsson your second line right wing, hypothetically?
On this team, he is, and I do think if he can get back to healthy, we talk about health a lot on here, and he's been battling injuries, and who knows if he can. I mean, he's not as young as he once was, but I think once Evander Kane comes back, and I think he'll come back for the start of the playoffs if I was running the show up in Edmonton. But if you can go Draisaitl, Arvidsson, Evander Kane, I mean, to me, that's as good as any second line in the National Hockey League. And, we talk about the Oilers a lot on here because while we all got money on them to win the Stanley Cup, they went to the finals last year. They got the 2 best players on the planet. I got no problem with their forward group at all. I know, Uppy, you don't love it. But when I look at this team and at Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, like, you got to trade something to get something. Like, would you ever consider getting rid of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins?
I would.
For like a prime-time right-handed shot D-man. Like, you got to trade something. We got to try Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
I'll tell you what, if Podkolzin continues to be a guy that gets better, and he has had a great year, if he gets better and can fill in, but Nugent-Hopkins does everything so well. He's a guy, you don't want to fuck it up like by moving him. The power play is perfect.
Coaches love him.
I know. So, but I do see this, like, if Kane comes in to fill that spot with Draisaitl, Arvidsson, you got obviously Nugent-Hopkins, McDavid, Hyman. I wouldn't fuck with this line, Janmark, Henry, Brown.
That's their go-to third line.
You know how I feel about Kapanen? I would have Corey Perry in there. I would try to find a guy to play center. Noah Phillip, not sure if he's the guy. Skinner, you're out. I'm going to replace you with Podkolzin on that 4th line. And then, then you don't fuck with that group. But how do you, like me in fantasy, I don't want to give up any players, but I'm going to try to get one.
Yeah.
You might have to give up someone for a D-man, which is really what they need.
Yeah.
They got no room, bud. They got no room. So can you move Skinner? I don't know.
No. You can move Skinner. You can move Skinner to Bakersfield. Swish is where you can move him. That's the only guy that's going to take anything on him. But it's a great point by Ups, and I think if you ask Stan Bowman, he's in the situation now where we all know their blue line's not good enough, Swish. And like Updog said, you got to give something to get something. And to me, looking at that lineup, and I'm sure Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, I know this is a coach's dream. I'm sure the boys love him. But at what point, if you're Stan Bowman, do you need to make a move to go out and get a big-time fucking right-handed shot D-man? And you got Kane coming back off of injury. I love everything Updog said about Podkolzin. I think he's getting better and better as an Oiler. Or do you just stand pat and try to go out and get Savard, like Uppy said, from Montreal or whoever? But Montreal's in the playoff race as well.
Man, I would have a hard time parting ways with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, especially at a cap hit of 5.1 AAV, and he got him locked up for at least 5 more years, if not 6. He signed that 8-year deal a couple of years ago. So I don't know. He's a guy that had 100 points 2 years ago. He's so good on that power play in the bumper position. I don't know. I mean, you got to give to get, Obes, in saying that. But I think if you're looking at it like when we talked about, just a couple of days ago, are you moving Scott Mayfield or one of those, you're looking for a Ryan Pollock for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Like, is that a deal you could make? I don't know, man. I think I'd stand pat for right now and just kind of let it play out.
Yeah, it's tough. That's why the GMs get paid the big bucks, right? Like, I'm sure nobody really wants to trade Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, but like staying here today, you bleed fucking blue and orange more than anybody. Can the Edmonton Oilers win a Stanley Cup with the exact squad they have, and let's say they pick up a depth defenseman name? Let's say they pick up Savard from Montreal or somebody else. Are they good enough to win without going out and getting a big-time, right-handed shot D-man?
Yes,
They
but they need, yes. And Darnell Nurse, you mentioned it the
better,
other,
man.
he is. He really is.
Better.
He's playing better. But to answer your question, yes, with the guy that can eat good minutes playing penalty kill, that doesn't allow Evan Bouchard out there 5-on-5 late in games when you're up a goal, 2 goals, and you really need to lock things down with hard hockey. Because at home, he can't be the guy that's eating those pucks and eating all those minutes. It's just going to wear and tear on him. They need to find another guy, Obes, that can come in, and a big righty would be ideal.
Luke Shen? Brad Richardson said Luke Shen a couple weeks ago on this podcast. Luke Shen.
Serviceable. He's
serviceable. Yeah, that's a great word for a defense. Serviceable. You can put him out there. Yeah. Anyways, it's interesting. The Oilers, the way they played last night, I mean, and I heard McDavid talking to Biz. His questions was unbelievable about the elbow. I was like, I can't believe he asked him.
Gordie Howe Hattie.
Yeah, the Gordie Howe Hattie. And I was like, I just can't believe he asked. Biz doesn't give a fuck. But, Gretz said about McDavid's play away from the puck in the D zone. And when Connor came on the interview, he said, hey, Gretz, thanks, buddy. I heard what you said. And I've really been trying to work on my 200-foot game and this and that. And from watching them, and I watched them play a lot, and I think it has to do with going to the finals last year. Like, their structure in D zone, and although it got a little loose there last night in the third, and we're going to get to that.
That's okay. Fuck it.
But I think they know how to play a complete game right now, and I think they're built for playoff hockey. I think this team's more built for playoff hockey than regular season hockey, and I don't think I would have ever said that about any other Oilers team, right? They're the oldest team in the league at 30 years old, 31 years old average age. They're not the quickest team up front anymore besides the superstars, but I think their depth and size and up front is ready for a run into June.
Yeah, and Obi, the last 3 years, I mean, they got their asses kicked in the conference finals against Colorado, who went on to win, and then they lose to Vegas, second round to a team that ends up going on to win, and then they get there and they were 1 goal away. This team, you call it what it is. Maybe it's defensive, more of a defensive strategy, but their fight and their will to get back to where they were last year is what I think separates them now than ever. Is this that we were right there and it could have been ours. We were the team,
Yeah.
So it's
fucking tough question by Anson Carter too. Just a tough question. He asked Connor McDavid, "What do you get the guy that has everything on his birthday?" And Connor's like, "Well, fine, the Stanley Cup." I said it. I don't know if Anson was looking for that answer, but that's all that Connor McDavid doesn't have in his life. The rest of his life, I'm sure, is perfect, right? His girl smoking, loves his dog, his house is big, his paychecks are going to be even bigger. He needs that cup, and that's all they have their mindset on. And to me, I like the structure they're playing with, boys. So, Arvidsson, I love your game. Updog wants you not to rim the puck to the strong side, which I respect. You can't rim it to where you're supposed to be.
Twice in one shift. I'd be sitting.
You can't. Well, you'd be sitting for maybe a couple other reasons too. But no, I'm just joking.
No. I just listen.
No, you're right.
But to Arvidsson's case, man, he's a hell of a player, and the Edmonton Oilers are going to need him. But I appreciate the dog of the week call up.
You don't like Kapanen. You're still not sold on Kapanen coming in being a fourth line right wing.
No, now he's on the fourth line in this lineup, and that just should show that he wasn't the answer to what they were looking for.
Fuck, fight, or hold the light. You got to do one of those three, boys. Right now, it's just hold the light.
By the way, Corey Perry's in the lineup. Is he hurt or something? He played last night. He's not on this lineup.
He's not, but he's
not playing back to back.
Yeah, he's going to be there when time comes, right?
Maybe they're giving the night off. They're heading to Colorado tonight after back to back. They may play Perry. Just take the night off, but save those boots for when we need you.
Yeah, they got. I heard they got 7 games in 7 different time zones. I saw last night. That is fucking gnarly, right?
Yeah, that's just playing the. I mean, when you play in Vancouver, same thing. You just kind of just comes with the territory.
Yeah,
you're never really. Yeah, exactly. Get the ambos ready for the boys and the ice bags and let's
like
go.
You're going East Coast, Central, back to the Pacific.
Then you
East
go
Coast
mountain.
Yeah,
right?
mountain.
You're all over the goddamn map.
You're in one.
Yeah, but it's a national league.
Yeah.
Like he said, give me an ambo and let me get in the Four Seasons.
Give me an ambo. Hold that light. Let's go.
Yeah,
hey?
let's go here, boys. Hey? When's our next day off, boys? We got a day off on this trip or what? Hey, we better get a day off. But
do you think Connor McDavid likes days off, or do you think he's just so fucking good at hockey he just wants to play every day?
I don't think those guys like days off.
You think he just wants to be out there just like highlight reel day after day? Like,
I mean, his goal.
By the way, can we talk about
his goal last night? Was
second
just
overall
nasty.
in Oilers scoring history? That's insane. Congrats, Connor.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Connor's going to be the next guy to get 2,000 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, his goal, like, I don't think the defenseman played it great, but he just waited, short side titty. It was just like, and not even like him, but he just made it look like effortless.
You know why the D, and you guys know this, your D, you can't go at him. You would go at any other player almost in the league, but as soon as you go at him, you look like Heiskanen in the playoffs last year.
I would never go down. I would never go slide as McDavid. I would never go down at all.
You would go at 95% of the players on that play. You would be like, hey, I'm taking this. You know, there's no way he's getting this back door. If you're
going by the rules of defense, the defenseman actually did a good job because he didn't let the pass get back door, right? Swish, that's the rule number 1. You cannot let the pass get back door, and you're trying to keep it on the short side for the goalie. Technically, he did all those things right, the defenseman who slid. But when it's the best player in the world, you got to stay on your feet because then at least you can have your stick in there to discourage him a little bit. When you slide, he's just like waits. You know what I mean, Swish?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing there is just the amount of speed he's coming at you with.
Yeah.
And the goalie, he's stressed out. The defenseman has to make a decision. Usually it's probably not going to be the best for him because he's coming downhill so hard at you. And then the next thing you know is just a little, hey, how are you? Little over the shoulder. I mean, that goal is nasty. It was just so effortless. Just a little flick of the wrist right there.
Yeah. And it was much needed, baby, because I gave up. They were minus 220 on DraftKings, and I was like, we're going to get to Calvin Pickard. He was absolutely kicking. So, Arvidsson, you're my dog of the week. Updog wants to see you on the film. They think there's a little tinkering for your game. So, DraftKings, baby, presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours, fella. Top titty, shout out to BJ Berna. 131 points. Connecting Ellers were his big dogs. Princey, 7th. Kyle, 14th. Now, here's a shocking turn of events here at Top Titty. The captain, Brento, 44th, and I was 45th. So it's rare that you see Brento
drop out of the top 10.
Low because the captain is committed. He's prepared. But listen, it's tough in that Top Titty because the big dogs, they tickle at you, right, for 10,000, 8,000. And you take two
Jack
of those.
Eichels of the world. Next
thing you know, you got to just manufacture a team with $4,000 a guy. So I think I'm a little top heavy with my two centers because I always go like McDavid, Eichel, or McDavid, Matthews, or something like that. But get in the game, boys. Stay on the salary cap. And like I said every week, the more guys that get in there, the more American dollars are up for grabs. Speaking of American dollars, it brings us to our DraftKings lock of the night or week, fellas. I lost one. I'm 11-3 on the year. I took the Blues at home against the Blue Jackets. It was a good hockey game. They went in there and beat me. Updog 7-5. Had a win last week. Oilers against the Hawks. Richardson is 4-3. He had the hockey club. The Islanders went in there and worked him. And Jay Swish is 6-1. So I'm going to start us off, boys, because I took the L last week. I'm going to take Marty St. Louis and the red-hot Montreal Canadiens. Cole Caulfield is lighting it up. They're playing great. They're getting great goaltending. Tavares is on the IR. Although the Leafs have tons of talent. I'm taking the Montreal Canadiens at home against the Toronto Maple Leafs on Hockey Night in Canada, fella.
Like that. The Leafs are in one right now. They're three game skid. They got the Devils tonight. Heads up for that. I am going to go. Oh, my Oilers beat the Hawks. Thank God last week. That's great.
They scored. I was watching thinking of you because it was like minus 400 the line, and they scored one like I'm talking with like 7 seconds left or something.
I'm going to go with a modern day 21st century battle. Caps versus Pens. Ovechkin versus Crosby. I'm going to take the Caps at home Saturday night. Expect a good one. A lot of eyeballs on this. It should be a Hockey Night in Canada type atmosphere, but I'm gonna ride the Caps, baby. I'm gonna ride the Caps. They're playing well, and they're the team right now to beat.
Yeah. Spencer Carberry, probably favorite for the Jack Adams. He's doing a hell of a job.
The old car battery. Spencer car battery, they're calling it, boys. The old car battery. So trust the Midas touch. I'm going to go over to the chin of Salt Lake City, and I'm going to take the hockey club. They're at home hosting Updog's Old Blues, my old squad, the team that drafted me, St. Louis. Now, listen, boys, this has a little bit of history here, the why I'm taking them, okay? So Nick Schmaltz, Clayton Keller, I'm not the Elias Sports Bureau over here per se, but every time they have played the St. Louis Blues in their career, they're hovering around a point per game. And especially when Jordan Binnington is in the net, they seem to find the way to hit the 4x6 and tickle the twine. So unless Binner hears this before, I am going to take the hockey club at home. I think those guys are going to be red hot. There's just something about playing St. Louis. They're always buzzing around. And I'm going to go with the hockey club at home versus the St. Louis Blues on Saturday night as my luck of the week. Luck.
I love it. The Blues had a big win the other night against the Flames. I think they play the Flames again tonight. One of those, like, 2 games in St. Louis. No, home. St. Louis, day off, St. Louis. That's crazy. We never did that when we played, did we?
I was talking about this with someone, and someone said we did back in the day.
I don't remember that because, when you meet, someone and you want an extra day.
I don't mind the 2-game series.
I would love an extra day in some cities.
Too.
The one bird thing is you fly in the night before the game.
Not St. Louis, though.
Not St. Louis.
But,
no, not St. Louis.
But like Florida, Tampa.
Fuck yeah. You fly in that night, you go for dinner, you play the next night, you're gone. Like, you could use that extra day for a lot of opportunities that would have been back then. But lock of the night, boys, listen. The Missin Curfew squad, we are 28-12 on the year, so we're making you money. Jay Swiss made a great point before we started recording. Some of these, right, like the big money lines, and we understand the boys might not want to put up 4-1. Always can put it in a parlay cafe or pick 2 of the 3, put that in a parlay if you're worried about the money line. But like I say, Jay Swish, real men take the money line. Don't be fooled by that puck line. Real men take the money line.
If you believe in your team, put your sack and your wallet on the table, boys, and trust it. Is the Missin Curfew boys, up to this point of this season, have been making the fellas money. So get in the game over at DraftKings, get your bets in, and you know what? Just trust the fellas over here. We'll lead you to the promised land.
Well said. And always gamble responsibly, but you got to have some skin at the game at DraftKings. Get this guy a Labatt Blue, presented by Labatt Blue Light, the pristine Pilsner. Enjoy your beers together so we can live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. Boys, I'm going to start dishing here.
Dish out, baby. I'm going to just jump on your dishes
I
here.
got the cooler right here. They're fucking on ice cold. They're ready to go. Throw it across the room. I'm ready.
You know they're drinking them in Buffalo this weekend, too.
Man, we didn't even talk about that.
I know. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Let's get to it.
We're going to have to get to it next week, but man, that's a big game.
Fucking
big game.
Let's go, Josh Allen.
We're all hopped up talking Aussie tennis. Forgot about the NFL Divisional Series, but get this guy a Labatt Blue. This is Updog's boy, Mackenzie Blackwood. He is 11-3 since being traded to the Avalanche. I'm a believer. Sign me up.
Let's go.
5 years, 25 bananas, great contract. I had the Avalanche at home the other night against the New York Rangers, the Blue Shirts. The Avs they deserved to win that hockey game. They didn't deserve to even be in the fucking hockey game. And Mackenzie Blackwood absolutely stood in his head in the third period. They pulled a goalie. They get the winner. In overtime, McKinnon to Taves. Booyah. They ended up pulling one out of their hat. But without Mackenzie Blackwood up dog, it was unbelievable. This guy's kicking. Get this guy Labatt Blue. You're right. He's a legit number 1 guy.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump on that too. I saw it early. He was kicking my ass on my bets against San Jose back in the day. I'm happy that you're on board, and I'm happy that they found a goalie because the Colorado Avalanche are a serious wagon. They're a serious wagon.
And another guy they're going to need here, Jay Swish, moving forward, Logan O'Connor. I love when these depth guys get rewarded with a shift in overtime ups. We talked about it earlier in the week, Swish. Sam Carrick, last week in the Rangers, scored an OT winner. Logan O'Connor, who's a heartbeat kind of guy, glue guy for the Colorado Avalanche, had an unbelievable shift in overtime where he hunted the puck down behind the net, turned it over, spit it out to McKinnon to Taves, corn dogs, a win for Obi. So Logan O'Connor, get yourself a Labatt Blue. Swish, this is a kid they're going to need come playoff time. He plays the right way, and he got rewarded with a nice contract a couple years ago.
I love those guys, and we've talked about it before, especially going into the season with the Colorado Avalanche. That obviously was my favorite. Obi, you got some scratch on them as well. And it just these subtle little moves that Joe Sakic has made over the course of 2-3 years, adding guys like Ross Colton, Miles Wood, OC, those middle 6 options, Obes, that can get you 30 points. They can get you 15 goals. You know how vital that is at playoff time with secondary scoring to complement your big boys? So I love these guys, especially how much pace they play with, how fast they are. They hunt pucks, and OC is one of those guys. So, yeah, a couple clicks for him. Get him an ice-cold Labatt Blue
Fella, that is well said. My boy Landy, morning skate again. Looked pretty good. Crossovers, high stepping. I thought he looked all right. I got to be honest, he looked good, but it didn't look like his, he could look like he was still kind of struggling a little bit. But at least he's out there. Hopefully we get him back. I got a couple more here, boys. Hang with me. Calvin Pickard. He was our third stringer in Colorado. Great kid. Me and Uppy bumped into him at the JW Marriott a couple years ago when the Kings played the Oilers. Me and you came in there after the game. It was him and Brad Malone were going back down to Bakersfield, and we bumped into him. But listen, he's been unbelievable the last couple of years. He got an opportunity when Jack Campbell left town. He made some 10-bell saves in the third period last night where the Oilers, I'm like, they're going to get scored on here and it's going to go to overtime. So Calvin Pickard, get yourself on the bat, blue fella. Up dog, he made some great saves. And it's nice to know for the Oilers that when they want to give Stuart Skinner a night off, that this guy can come in and give him legit minutes.
And McDavid mentioned it on his interview with Gretz after. He said we're getting great goaltending. Yep. So that's, when Connor recognizes it, that this is what they need moving forward, it's great. But they finally found that backup goalie they needed.
Yeah, and you can tell all the boys love him, right? Last night, Pears was going off the ice with them, and you can really tell Swish that and I think that's for every backup goalie that I played with too. Like when they get in there, you really want to play hard for them and they deserve the wins because they do a lot of grunt work for the boys in practice and stuff like that.
Oh, 100%. And especially a guy like Kevin Pickard. Pix has been all over the place, boys. He's been waived. He's been claimed. He's played on half a dozen AHL teams. He's been in the show. And to even withstand that and just take your punches and know that, you're an NHL quality goalie, but some years you might be in the minors. It's just a testament to who he is as a guy and just as a character. And yeah, it's good to see that he's in the National League right now. He's obviously very deserving, a good kid, the pride of Winnipeg, Manitoba. Folks, that is Vegas of the North. So anytime you got a guy like that in the league, and especially how much his teammates love him, it just goes that much further. And you always root for the good guys, Obes, and he's one of them.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He must have worked on his game, though, because he'd get called up from Lake Erie, and I would just light him up in practice. And if I'm lighting him up, I'm like, whew, this kid, I don't know if he's ready. I don't know if he's quite ready for the National League, but he's obviously worked on his game. He's playing great. And last one for me, boys, speaking of Buffalo, Chippewa Street, shout out to Ryan McLeod. Hat trick last night. Get yourself on the bat blue. But to the whole Buffalo Sabres organization, get yourself on the bat blue. They scored a goal in the third period last night, boys, without recording a shot on net. They're the third team in NHL history to fucking do this. And, of course, the Buffalo Sabres are going to go a third period without getting a shot on net and find a way to win. So congratulations to Buffalo. You got a goal without getting a shot on net, up dog.
Yeah,
it's hard not to get a shot in a fucking period, is it not?
It is, and it fell on the eyes. Like, I was watching the game with Beckham last night, and Christina happened to be there watching. She's like, wait, that goal counted? It didn't even go in the net. I'm like, yeah, it's a rule. The ref gets to say whether or not the puck was going to go in, and the guy smashes his fucking stick. So, the guy deserves a good goal. It happened to be his hat trick. So, shout out to Ryan McLeod. And another one for me, hat trick watch. I'm going to butcher this guy's name, Pavel Dorovev for Vegas,
Good
number
player.
16. 3 great shots. Yeah. For a hat trick against the Preds in a 5-3 loss. But this guy was absolutely, when it was on his stick, it was off his stick. And, what better time, 3 real nice goals. No little gimmicky, empty netter for the Hattie. This guy just put 3 right in the back of the net.
You hate empty net goals. I'm starting to get a feel for the empty net goals.
I know. I never got out there for it. No, I did get a couple in my career.
Enough touches.
My only Hattie, though, I got 3 nice ones. My only hat trick. But
I never had one empty netter in my NHL career. I must have had one in the jungle, but
they feel good.
Oh, man, especially with your D-man, Swish. You sauce one down there and it hits the middle. You're like, fucking A, boys. I'll take that. Let's go have a cold Labatt Blue. Let's go in for one.
Just send a hope down the ice, 200-foot little lunar sauce, kind of send it right over that top guy at the point, and it just somehow finds the twine. That's the best feeling in the world, man.
Yeah, another tough question by Anson Carter last night. He asked Ryan McLeod, with all the Buffalo Bills Mafia and the fans, is this not something you guys would want? Could you imagine having a winning team? Well, no shit. No, of course they want to win. Of course they see what's going on. I was like, someone give this guy some new questions. It's just to me, that's a tough question to ask a guy. Of course we want to have a winning team. We know Buffalo has good fans. I just thought, I don't know, Swish. I thought it was another tough question by Anson. And I respect Anson, but tough question.
Let's just throw him on the milk carton then. Ace, you're on the milk carton.
Yeah. You know what? Throw him on there. Yeah, throw him on the milk carton. And by the way, Swish, good job. You teed us right up. It is milk carton time here at Missin Curfew. Swish Dog, what do you got for a milk carton, fella?
Well, boys, and I don't want to rag on this guy because he is a decent player, but it just seems like the last 3-4 years, ever since he got that ticket in Chicago. Now, listen, the team's been dog shit. Management has been just all over the place. Coaching staff, it's a revolving door. But I would just like to see, for a guy making 9 and a hook, being a leader on that team, a veteran, a guy that can skate, run a back end, just play with a little bit more energy, a little bit just more enthusiasm for the game of hockey. And that is Seth Jones. I mean, if we're looking at his seasons in Chicago, minus 37, minus 38. Last year, he was minus 14, minus 13 this year. So it's just like, I don't know, Obes. I mean, I'm not trying to rag on the guy because, listen, I just think he's such a tremendous athlete in the last 4 or 5 years. And especially, it just seems like he's just checked out of hockey, man. And it's tough to stay in it, right? You're in Chicago. Your team sucks. You got a new coach every other week. Your GM's a nerd. A lot of different things surrounding that team. But I would just like to see a little more fuck you from a guy making 9.5 and just a little bit more respect for the game. A lot of lackadaisical plays lately. I don't know, Obes. It just seems to me it's like, he doesn't even give a fuck.
No,
He was an all-star 3 years ago in Florida.
Listen, last year I was talking about, before the Leafs went out and got Tanev, I'm like, bring Seth Jones into Toronto. Well, thank God they didn't because he would have been booed out of town. But I will say this. You're absolutely right. We've all played on bad teams. It sucks, but you have a responsibility, especially when you're making 9.5 bananas, to get out there and compete. I feel bad for him in one way, though, because remember when he signed the big ticket with Chicago, they brought in Fleury. Taves was there. Kane was there. They were trying to do like a quick rebuild, remember? And then all of a sudden, the shit just went sideways and Kaner left, and we all know what happened with Taves. So I think probably part of him is like, how did this happen? Like, why am I stuck on this shitty team? But it's no excuse. You need to compete every night. I'm with you, Swish. I've watched the Hawks play a little bit in the last month or so. Bedard's shoving it right up my you-know-what. But his compete's got to come way up. So throw him on the Missin Curfew milk carton, fella.
Yeah, I just think like when he was getting coached by Tortorella, he was playing with Werenski in those playoff games, and then the series they beat Tampa that year, that Tampa won the President's Trophy. Man, he was playing in some of those overtime games, 50-odd minutes, lugging the mail, way more just attack mentality to his game. That guy can skate like the wind, Obi, and it just seems like he's just kind of pushing pucks and just fucking off right now. I just think there's so much more to his game, and it does suck playing on a terrible team. But I just think there's way more to his game, and I would just love to see him get back to that level. And you know what? It's going to be hard. But nobody said it's easy, fellas. So I just like to see that back. And you know what? Hopefully get them, reestablish the old days of Seth Jones, because I do think he's such a good athlete.
Yeah, right-handed shot, big, can skate. You think
it's just about habits and pride, right? Like you got to go out and be a fucking pro. And as tough as it is, you're still, you're still playing in front of fucking a bunch of people who are paying money and.
Such a great barn to play in, too. And they're still getting good fans. Shout out to the Hawks fans. I'm sure Bedard is obviously moving the needle in that aspect, but they're still getting decent crowds in there, and it's still electric to a certain – not like when we played, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, and then it goes – you know what it's like when you get in that minus train. The goalie can't save any pucks. Fucking – it's all just coming at you.
That minus train, there's no stopping and getting off it. It's an express ticket to – next thing you know, you're dash 11. You're like, I'm never getting out of this, right? Like – and how quick they add up, right? Like, you take me fucking 2 weeks to get a plus or +2, and then take me 3 days to be -8 in 3 games.
Were you ever a minus player? You didn't look like a
finished my
player.
career plus player.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I don't think I had it. I might have had maybe two. I don't know. Ask Kyle, but maybe 2 years with a minus overall. That's not bad.
I was a minus in Calgary, I think. I was never even on for an offensive zone face-off in Cowtown. I was impossible to get a plus there.
But it's hell when you're in that minus bucket.
That's one of the most rattling stats, boys.
I know. Yeah,
Like,
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't get out of it. Once you get on the other side of -10, you're actually fucked the whole season.
Done. There's no getting out of it, especially if you're like a fucking stay-at-homer like I was. Like, it's just once you get to -10, it's like, let's just limit the damage here. Let's not get to -20. Let's not get carried away.
You had 4 seasons, 06, 07 -1, 2010,
doesn't
11
count.
-12, 11, 12 -3, 12, 13 -8. A couple tough 3 years.
What was his
there.
carear? Was he a plus player his whole career? Go down to the bottom.
Yeah, +9,
There you go.
+9.
That's all that matters.
Plus 9, yeah.
That's what matters.
Plus player.
Played in some shitty teams.
Yeah, plus player. Yeah, we all did. We all did, fella. So, hey, I love it. Milk carton, Seth Jones. You found yourself on the Missin Curfew milk carton. Only one way off it, buddy. Bend your knees, get low, fucking compete.
Low and slope.
Last but not least here, before we get to Jack Eichel of the Vegas Golden Knights and Team USA, it is rumor mill time here at Missin Curfew. We're getting close to that time of year, boys, where the People's Insider, it's rumor city. So the soap opera in Vancouver continues to a certain extent. Elliot Friedman, again, I saw Elliot Friedman saying that Boston has called on both Pettersson and JT Miller. And boys, I don't want the Vancouver Canucks to ever trade JT Miller. Now, saying that, if they are going to move this guy, I would love to see him go to the Boston Bruins for one reason and one reason only. I picked him to win the Eastern Conference, and I do have money on them to win the Stanley Cup. I got him at 20-1 to win the Stanley Cup, and whatever to win the East, pretty good odds as well. I think if you put JT Miller on this Boston Bruins team, he's exactly what they fucking need. To people in Vancouver, I would never trade JT Miller, but Updog, if where there's smoke, there is fire. If they're taking calls, if I'm Don Sweeney and Cam Neely and the boys, I'm bringing JT Miller into town. He would be a great Boston Bruin.
Yeah, our guest today explains a little bit about that. That player himself. I think JT Miller's a great piece to any club. I mean, he's only gotten better and better as he's played. I mean, I remember him in New York, Tampa, and now he's just flourished in Vancouver. But like you said, if there's a little bit of smoke in Van between the guys that are supposed to be teammates, supposed to be well-liked, well-respected guys in the room, then, maybe it's time to move on, but he's a fucking hell of a player. I mean, the guy snaps it like a real pro out there. I know you like that.
I love it.
So if you're going to trade JT Miller.
I would never trade JT Miller.
So, but hypothetically, if Patty Alvin and Jimmy Rutherford are getting rid of him, what do you get back? Are you asking for Lindholm back that was playing for you in the playoffs and down the stretch run? Is that what the...
No, you're probably going to get Pavel Zacha back and whoever else the fuck you want. And a first rounder and whoever else.
You're going to have to give up
I mean, I would say right now that I think these GMs around the league are calling Vancouver and being like, they feel like they got their backs against the wall a little bit. I don't think you're going to get as much for JT Miller now that you would before all this shit came out, right? I just think GMs are like, well, listen, if there's turmoil in your dressing room, I'm going to offer you Pavel Zacha and a first rounder and some prospect that's playing in Providence. Do you want it or not, right? Like that's what I think, but I'm no GM. And let me just I would never trade JT Miller ever. I would never trade him ever.
But what if Van asked, to your point, you wouldn't trade him, but what if Van went back and said, we want who's the big Swedish D-man that they have in Boston?
Lindholm.
Yeah.
No, Lindholm's still hurt, but he ain't going anywhere either.
No, I know. But what if they wanted a real player? Like Zacha's not a real piece.
Zacha's their first line center right now.
Well, that's trouble. But.
Zacha's playing with Pasternak and Geeky right now. I mean, certain nights. That's just the guy that jumped out to me. I mean,
no, for sure. So
Zacha, if I'm Vancouver,
Zacha, Geeky in a first round.
If I'm Vancouver, the guy that I want as well is Brandon Carlo. But if I'm the Bruins, I don't want to trade Carlo either because if you're trying to win a Stanley Cup, you need him.
No. Yeah. I wouldn't get rid of him. It would have to be like Zacha, another player, a pick, and maybe even throw like that Lohrei in there. But I wouldn't want to get rid of Lohrei either. I think he's got some game.
No, but I'd trade. If I had to give up, that's the guy I would give up is him. He does have super potential, but I haven't loved his game this year. And you got Big Zadorov for the next, 4 years. Give him fucking that guy.
Frederick and Zacha.
No, I'm not trading Trent Frederick either.
I know.
I'll give you Zacha. How do I say the defenseman's name? Lohrei and a first rounder for JT Miller. Let's go.
Well, I think you can kind of dangle that carrot with Lohrei because the potential's there.
Yeah.
The kid can skate. He's really skilled. Good hands.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I would never trade JT Miller though.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. This is just a little segment here, the rumor mill. The rumors are flying. I would never. I'm going to look into the camera. I would never trade JT Miller. Please don't do it. But if you are, take him to the bees because I got some money on the fellas. Speaking of a great U.S.-born player, friend of the pod, absolute beauty, Stanley Cup champ, Jack Eichel, coming at you next, fellas. Welcome back to Missin Curfew. Updog, Jay Swish, friend of the pod. Loves a good music festival, loves a good concert. Stanley Cup champion, playing some of the best hockey I've ever seen him play, and going to represent Team USA at the Four Nations. Our boy, Jack Eichel. Ikes, thanks for taking the time, buddy. We know it's a busy season for you, so we appreciate it, my man.
No, thank you guys for having me on.
I think we should start with fantasy football, maybe, right? We were talking before we came on the air there about Updog's general manager ability and some of the trades he was sending.
GM of the year, back-to-back.
How would you grade his general manager? Do you trust him? Would you hire him? What do you think, fella?
I mean, he's definitely aggressive. That's one way to put it. I mean, he's throwing out trades left and right. I don't know if it'd be very fair. He was trying to take Jefferson off my hands for just about nothing.
Hey, the fuck machine, hut. You can't trust him as far as you can throw him.
No, you can't trust him. But I mean, hey, listen, the guy's always he's always working the lines. Hey, he's always trying to get something out. And you know what? You got to respect the GM that does that.
Yeah,
you know what? The guy's always trying to make his team better.
you should have seen when I was single. Yeah, you should have seen when I was single. Like, geez, I was working the lines like no one's.
When you were single, you wouldn't even have paid attention to your fantasy football team. You would have been like, forget this, just guys. Now you're looking forward to it.
I had a gold medal back in 2011. That was my first title.
You're good at fantasy football. I chirp you about your general manager skills, but you're in the finals again. You're like the Buffalo Bills in the 90s, though. You can't get across the finish line.
No, it's a good group, though. It's a good group, but tough to get in the playoffs. It's like the NHL. It's not easy.
Yeah. No, it is tough. I mean, I finally had a good year, but I offered you a trade about halfway through the season. By the way, your team is called Frank Flowers, which is a great story on its own. But I offered you Derrick Henry when Henry was just going buck diddy, and I tried to get Jefferson out of there from you, and we couldn't come to terms. I mean, I thought it was a pretty fair trade on both sides, but we just couldn't come to terms, could we?
No, you know what? Looking back, I probably should have made the trade. I probably would have made the playoffs if I did, but I was just kind of sitting there waiting for my team to get healthy because I liked the way it was. I liked the way my team was built, but we you know what? We couldn't stay healthy. I had too many bad flex guys coming in playing RB2. I just wasn't able to string any wins together. Got kind of hot at the end of the year, but wasn't enough to get me in. So hey, listen, back to the drawing board and. You know, it's a tough league, like you said. I mean, it's competitive. Everyone's looking to make their team better every week.
Well, we got to do something about Kevin Shattenkirk because he's at the bottom of the bowl every year. Yeah, poor Shattenkirk. Probably smartest guy in our group too.
Yeah, he's probably busy doing other stuff then maybe.
Yeah, he's three kids. And can we talk about a guy, Andy Mack, who just came on strong at the end?
Yeah.
I mean, guy's working, building a nice business with Targa and then coming out strong.
Well, he had Lamar Jackson, right?
Lamar.
After that bye week that the Baltimore Ravens had with 5 weeks left, they came back as just a different team and they were just spinning. Lamar was spinning it.
I couldn't talk about the pod on this I couldn't talk about our fantasy football on this show all year because Obes didn't want to jinx himself because he was just rolling. He was just working everyone. And he's like, if I start talking about this, I'm going to fucking lose.
Well, we did start talking about it. I talked about it, and I fucking lost in the fucking first round of the playoffs. Out I went. I was like, fucking Upshaw wouldn't keep his mouth closed.
Hey, just like me. It's back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
It's back to the drawing board. Figure out what let you down, and you just try to make those corrections going in the next year.
Before we move on, the one thing about fantasy though is injuries. I stayed healthy this year. Previous years, when you can't put you can't put a good team out there, and you're on the waiver wire, Ikes, it's like this is painful.
That's what happened to me. I mean, when the wide receiver, what's his name, Puka Nacua, when he went down, my running backs got hurt. I drafted a wide receiver heavy team. I didn't have what it takes, and you know what? I didn't make the trades. As a GM, there's no one to point the finger but myself. I didn't make the trades when I needed to, and ended up biting me in the ass at the end.
This is like his year-end press conference, eh? For when his GM comes out, hey, listen, boys, disappointed in myself. Wasn't aggressive enough. Like our pieces, like where we're going.
Next year we'll build on youth and we'll try to get faster.
As long as Flowers doesn't win it every year, that's okay with me. So congrats.
That's legitimately the only thing that matters that he doesn't win.
He thinks, like, let's be honest, it takes skill, but it's a lot of luck. But Flowers thinks like he has fantasy football, like he's the best fantasy football GM ever. It's like, I know football better than you guys. I'm like, it's a lot of luck, man.
The best is like during the season, I'll text him during Eagles games, and just to get him going. Like if the Eagles aren't, if they have like a bad quarter or a bad half, or like at the beginning of the year when like Sirianni was making a lot of like questionable decisions, I was texting him during those games to get him going, and he would just be losing his mind. They're the worst team ever. They're the worst team ever. They need to fire this coach, and they'd end up winning the game, and I'd be like, Flowers, they won, like he'd be like, it doesn't matter. It's gonna bite them in the ass at the end of the year, but. I mean, they look great now, and obviously he's probably riding pretty high. Yeah, but you make a mistake of texting him about the Birds, and like I said, hey, like they found a way to win last week against Green Bay. Paragraph text of what the Birds need to do. I'm like, fella, I'm not a Philly mutant. Like I don't give a fuck. I was just giving you a little congratulations on the win over the Pack. I don't need to go into their offensive breakdown here, fella. No, that's exactly. He's like he breaks the whole team down. I'm like. I mean, I don't know. Like, I had them, I had them by a field goal this week or whatever, Like, yeah, they did their job, but they covered for me. I mean, he literally, there was a stretch there where Flowers was basically living with me for a couple years, and every Sunday morning he'd wake up with his Eagles pajamas on and turn on fucking NFL. I'm like, look at this guy. Order Mickey D's breakfast with his Eagles pajamas on. I'm like, you're 5 years old, fella here. Like, throw away the PJs. But he's like, they're lucky, Obes. They're lucky, so. It's too much, but
Ike's buddy, first of all, love playing fantasy with you, but thank you for taking the time. Before we dive into some Four Nations stuff, we're all excited, Ike's here. We're going to be there in Montreal for USA versus Canada, fellas, so we can't wait to watch you get out there and compete. But I want to talk about you personally right now. I watch you guys play almost every night. You're absolutely flying. Your 200-foot game is next level. The way you're playing defensively in the faceoff circle, killing penalties. But for me, the way you're skating and moving, is this the best you've felt since the neck surgery and coming back? Because your stride looks long, you look powerful, and you just look like you're in the prime of your career, fella.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a good start to the year for our group and myself personally, and I mean, obviously a longer summer, you give yourself more opportunity to train, and I had some different things I wanted to work on this summer, and I think whenever you're further out of, having a major surgery, your body starts to feel more and more like itself. And, for me, it's just been more of a consistency thing, a day in and day out, just work and just trying to put as much time as I can to try and, feel as good as I can every night. And, for our team, we've been playing well. We have a lot of contributions up and down the lineup. There's, I think there's 3 or 4 guys that have already had career years in terms of scoring, and so it's been a lot of success by committee, and obviously we feel really good about our D-core and our goaltending, and like I said, we've had some timely scoring. Special teams has been good this year for us, so when you combine all those things, and we got a veteran team. We've played together for a few years now. Obviously, we lost some guys last year, and some new faces came in, and I think they've made a good transition and, been able to help our team. And, we just play, I think we play a pretty honest game, within our system every night. It gives us a chance to win.
Yeah, and I got to thank you because you guys have been consistent at home, thank God. Or I'd been in an even bigger hole than I am in right now. But I can count on Ike's in Vegas at home. I'm like, all right, here we go, boys. These guys are going to show up for me up, dog.
First period overs for you. Yeah. And when you're at the game we got a bunch of buddies here in Newport that like to go in for your games.
Oh, they love going in.
And they go in blazing. They bet on the game. They got, the suite at the MGM, and it's a good vibe. But yeah, they're one to go home dogs, baby.
Yeah, the best suite in hockey, our boy Tom Riley and Todd Pickup. You actually sent Todd Pickup a jersey. He owns 10% of your club. He's tight with your owner, Bill Foley. T-Rex, though, he has that MGM suite. That's the best suite in hockey, Ike's. It's dead center across from your bench. Open bar, anything you need. It's go time in there, bud.
That's pretty nice. Yeah, they have some pretty cool setups for, some of the suites at T-Mobile. Is it like one of the ones that's like on ice level? You can like go down under between periods?
So Todd, he has that. Yeah, that's where I saw you the one night after your match. That's Todd's. He has a bunker suite there, which is sick. And then T-Rex, he's got a lot of pull with old MGM. So anytime he wants a ticket to a game, he just goes there and gets them. It's pretty sick.
That's nice. Yeah. I mean, obviously if you're a big player at the casinos and know the right people, you'll get treated pretty well in Vegas.
Yeah, he's the man. He loves you, T-Rex. I told him you were coming on. He was all fired up. He lives and dies by the Vegas Golden Knights, so he's loving the way you guys are playing. Ike's, let's transition to the USA Hockey here, buddy. I just want to ask you, World Juniors wins back-to-back for the first time ever. You guys are arguably, you and Canada are the favorites in the Four Nations Cup. Like, for American-born player, how proud are you of where U.S. hockey has come at the World Junior level and where you guys are heading with your best-on-best team here for the Four Nations?
Yeah, it's been really good to see. I think if you look, if you look at the last, I don't know, however many, 10 years, I think, you've seen more and more, competition in the World Junior, and obviously we haven't had the opportunity to go to the Olympics in quite a while. But I think USA Hockey as a whole has definitely tried to close the gap. And Canada is still I think they're still the bar that everyone's trying to climb, and I think it's a great opportunity for us to try and do that. It's it's going to be sort of that next generation, and a lot of these guys on the American team, pretty familiar with, whether it be playing at the national program or in World Juniors, World Championships, whatever it might be. So I think we're all pretty excited to get together and have this opportunity. And like you said, it's exciting times. USA Hockey, I think they've done an incredible job with their player development, and whether that's guys coming through the national development program, come through the USHL, college ranks, whatever it might be. I think it's just it's boosted the the production from American players in the NHL. And I think for us, it's just a great opportunity for us to go prove ourselves and hopefully, hopefully win. I mean, that's the goal. We're going there to win and prove that, we're the best country.
Yeah, it's 4 good teams, and we talk about it, Ikes, a lot with Obes, just how tight your guys' group is. And I'd like to ask you, like, you look at your lineup, guys you probably played with at World Juniors, guys your same age, like late 20s, is a great group of kids. Is there anyone in particular you're excited to go and like wear that jersey with again on this, on this stage? Like a guy that you're like excited to be on the sheet with, fire the puck around with, see the vision, kind of bring that game back to?
There's so many guys that are, there's so many guys on the team. And like you said, a lot of them I have had the opportunity to play with before. And I think just as a fan of the game and somebody who watches hockey on a nightly basis, I think you watch these guys around the league, and we haven't had this opportunity, right? So in the back of your mind, you're always like, man, I'd love to play with this guy, or I'd love to do that, or, I'd love to be on this guy's team instead of having to play against him. So there's a lot of those guys, and I think you go up and down the roster and name them. Obviously, Austin had, close to 70 goals last year. I think that's a guy that, we're all excited to play with and, see what he can do. Obviously, some of the defensemen, whether it be, Quinn Hughes and Foxy and some of these guys, Charlie McAvoy, obviously really enjoyed him. That the Chuck brothers are going to bring a great, they're going to bring, a great element to the team. There's so many guys, JT Miller, you can go down the lineup and it's exciting times. I know we have super high expectations for ourselves within the group, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, it's Montreal, and it's Canada on a Saturday night at the Bell Center. How cool is that? And then obviously getting to go home and play in Boston. It's going to be a great experience for me, being able to play, not far from where I grew up and in my hometown. Probably, have some friends and family at those games, and it's 2 great hockey cities, and it's going to be, it's going to be a blast, and hopefully the fans enjoy it. It should be great for our game.
Ikes, it's Swish. I played against you going back to our Green Bay days and at BU, obviously. You always had that long stride, brother. And then like years after, I mean, still kids this day try to emulate that stride of yours, that glide, that long push. And I was just curious, you mentioned the U.S. program. A lot of guys are going to be joined with you up there in Montreal, but I wanted to ask you, like, where did you develop that stride? Was it at the U.S. program in Ann Arbor? Was that something dating back to your early days in Boston? Because not only is it silky, you're always going so much faster than you look, and it's all of a sudden you're a Bayad guy, or especially when I was playing defense against you, like, holy fuck, there's Ikes going past me. So where did you develop that stride? You've always been a lengthy guy, strong, but that stride, brother, it's silky smooth.
Yeah, I mean, I think I developed it at a pretty young age. It was always, whoever I'd worked with as a kid growing up and going through, the development of, trying to get faster and become a better skater. It was always trying to lengthen my stride and get the most out of every push. And, I think as I got older and you get more into some of your off-ice training and, you start to, develop some strength and some explosiveness through the work you put in the gym. I think that's where it started to, probably maximize even more. And, it's something I still work on now, whether it's just posture, movement, different things I do, before I get on the ice and in the off season to try and, allow myself to get into those positions. But, I always thought it's, for me, just being as efficient as possible, and then, just being able to try and hold that glide, and, it allows you to try and, keep your speed even when you're not pushing.
Yeah, you got the glide is nice, eh? Swish's glide. When I watch him, especially live, I'm like, that's a nice glide from Ikes there. That went from red to blue there. He just glid right through the neutral zone. I was like, that's nice.
How would your groins feel doing that?
My groins were so hopped up on a Flexol and taped up. They couldn't get that they couldn't get like that.
Yeah, it's like 3 strides up the ice. And I remember like my brother, because he's the same age, obviously, as Ikes. You're both 96s. And I just remember hearing about you at the U.S. program. You were doing like hang cleans. You were doing like 400 pounds, crazy amount of weight, doing squats. And meanwhile, Nicky Schmaltz back in Verona, Wisconsin, he can't even bench the bar. You know what I mean? So it's like dumbbells don't score goals, Ikes, but you've always been that explosive.
Right. Yeah, that's all right. Nick can stick it on a phone booth. That was his thing. Eh? He was he was the best. He would just put his long johns and his socks on and go out there and go for 1 and 3. never lifted a weight or anything. No, I mean, I obviously spent a lot of time in the gym, and the U.S. program does a great job of developing that, and whether it's through some of those explosive exercises, like you said, hang cleans, things like that, I really concentrated on, and in my early teen years, and I think it translated well to some of the skating that I do now, and I'm not saying I lift like that anymore. Obviously, I've tapered down on a lot of things as you've gotten older, but it's still something I definitely focus on.
Ike's a little bit about habits. I had a couple bad ones when I played, but one being like looking in the crowd, right? Like I mean, checking out babes, especially if we're playing in Vegas.
Who said that's a bad habit?
I don't know.
No one ever said that was a bad habit.
I ought to question them if they say so. But anyway, I brought my dad to a game in Vegas. We sat right above the railing where you guys come out for your game, right under your room. And anyway, I see you do the habits with the gloves. You take off the gloves every period, but you're not like looking up in the crowd. I'm thinking, geez, this guy's just dedicated to the game right now.
Yeah,
he's focused.
Yeah.
He's focused. And I'm like, have you always been like that? Or are you a guy that likes to, maybe just keep the gloves on and check out who's around? But you were so focused. I tried to get your attention. I'm like, he's just in this. He's in this one.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's every night. I mean, there's obviously times when when things aren't going well, and it seems like it's just chaotic and everything's going wrong, right? You're always trying to get a new stick, or you're changing your gloves out all the time. But I mean, for the most part, I just try and stay present and try and refresh the mind after every shift to get refocused on what I'm doing, whether it's going good or bad. I didn't even know you were there. If I did, I probably would have looked up, but I don't know what game it was. I mean, I'm obviously trying to stay as focused as I can, and just trying to stay present on what I got to do.
Especially playing in Vegas, it's not like he's playing. Like he's in Vegas. If he looked in the crowd every game, he might get distracted a lot. Like, he'd be like, "Holy heck, what's going on?"
I'll tell you one guy who did notice me was Petro, because who exchanges more gloves than anyone in the NHL but Petro during a game? It's probably 4 times 4 times a period is
that why he never makes a bad play, or what? Is that why
Petro makes a good play?
Yeah, I know he never makes mistakes.
He's learned how to really pass the puck actually still since his days in Vegas. But every time to the trainer, new gloves. Is that you NHL, got a bunch of guys? That's the new NHL, baby.
I actually got that from Factor. He used to do it all the time in Buffalo, and I was like, why is he always changing his gloves out? And he was always getting new dry gloves in between, whatever. During the TV timeout, he would give his gloves to the trainers, and they would dry them quick, and so we'd get them back and they'd be dry. So I started doing it, and I don't know if it just more so becomes a habit or what, but that's who I took it from. But there's a lot of guys do it. Stoney's changing gloves out quite a bit, and but it's not surprising that Petro noticed you. If anybody knows Petro, his mind's
totally.
His mind's always in a million places. He's always like, what? You know what I mean? Like his brain works in incredible ways, and he probably noticed everything that was going on in the building that night, including whatever was happening during the game. So I'm not surprised he noticed you.
Hell of a player. Hey, can we talk about Mark Stone's knob for a second? Is that not the ugliest thing? It's unbelievable, Obes.
I've seen it.
It's as fat as your forearm.
Yeah, it's a big boy.
Like, well, how did that?
I was messing around with his stick and practice.
I thought you were going to say my cock. I was hoping you were going to say my cock, but I'll take.
It's been a while since I've seen that thing, but
I'll take it.
I was messing around. It's incredible, and he doesn't like anyone to touch it. So when he does it up before the game, he doesn't want anyone to touch it, because as he grab it, there's so much pre-wrap or whatever the grip tape that he uses. He uses like medical tape that. It's like so soft that when you grab it, it's going to condense a bit. So he doesn't like anyone to touch it before games. But I mean, it's one of the craziest things. Just his stick in general. It's so long, and just how skilled he is.
He's crafty, man. I mean, you guys together are great. He's so crafty. His stick is unbelievable. Big knob and all. It's unbelievable. The reason Fact Daddy was changing his gloves is because he probably smelled like Jameson. He's like, fuck, take these. I need a new pair. These don't stink like the bottle of Jameson I had there last night. But I want to get back. Uppy touched on it a little bit. I just want a couple more guys that I'm excited for you to play with. The Kachuk boys. You know, obviously we remember you took out Matty in the finals and you came back from that, you know, big hit and came back and won a Stanley Cup. But how nice is it going to have him and Brady? You know, I know it's a short tournament and fighting's not important and all this stuff, but how nice is it to know that you have those two boys on your squad? And if things do get kind of out of control out there, you got Brady Tkachuk on your squad.
Yeah, I mean they're super competitors. I mean they bring it every night, right? So yeah, I mean they're going to be, huge pieces to our team, and to be able to play with them, and among other things, the two of them are super skilled players and make a ton of plays, and they're guys you want to play with. I mean, we've played Brady twice this year, and he makes a ton of plays and obviously goes to the net. He has a great finishing ability. We've played Matt once, but obviously everyone's familiar with his game. He can really light it up as well. So and then just their competitiveness. So yeah, they're going to be huge huge pieces to the group, and exciting to play with them and not have to play against them. That's for sure.
Ike, so I wanted to ask you, if you guys do get this done in Montreal, now this might be a little junior or world junior like, but I do love that "Oh Mama, Don't You Cry" USA Hockeyers Do or Die singing. Is that one thing we can see maybe if the boys take it home? I don't know. I mean, it's a little junior, but I do fucking love it. Just being a USA Hockey guy, it always just gets me fired up, fella. I love that shit.
It's so funny you say that because obviously we have a lot of Canadian guys on our team here, and they were giving me and Hannafin so much shit about that. After obviously seeing the World Junior team, the videos came out of the World Junior team doing it, and even before they did it, Stoney's always like, "What's that cry you guys do when you win?" Kind of just like ripping on us, and then they're trying to get Noah and I to do it, and then the same thing. They're like, "Are you guys gonna do that at the Four Nations?" I don't know. I can't tell you whether or not that's something that's in the cards for us, but. It always got me fired up. Obviously, whenever you're doing it, it's because you want something. So, I think it's just a USA Hockey rite of passage.
Yeah, I think even if you guys did it and then at the end of it shotgunned a beer and then spiked it or something, it would be pretty nails, man. I would love to see that. You got to get it done first.
Swish, we might have to get you in the room, eh? Swish, get you in the room with the boys, eh?
Let me lead the charge, boys. I'll lead the chant. I'm good. Then I'll get out
We'll
of it.
get you in there. Get you in there. It's perfect.
I will say the clip, I think Cryo was the World Junior team Cryo was on when they were singing that chant and after they won it. It is pretty sick. I mean, I was like, as a Canadian guy, I'm like, that's pretty nails, as Jay Swish would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's a USA Hockey rite of passage.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. Yeah, you do it after every tournament that you win, and so I guess we'll see.
Ike, I want to ask you, there's obviously, I got your roster up here. There's so much talent. We all know it's a short tournament. I think you guys are going to get a couple practices heading in, but for a guy like yourself who's going to be a leader of this team, is chemistry the maybe the only concern for you guys? Coming in there, what are you most focused on, or what is it for you? Do you want to find chemistry quick with your line mates, or what's your number one priority, you think, as a player heading into a short tournament?
Well, I mean, I think everyone's good. Everyone's a good player, and if you look at the roster, there's so many guys that can play both center, wing, up and down the lineup, do different things, power play, different spots in the power play, kill penalties. I think that's an advantage. Just having as many versatile players as possible. I think for us, it's just important to try and come together as much as we can as a team. I think the group that does that, and it's like you said, it's a short tournament, and everyone's just checking their ego at the door and understanding what we're doing, and the goal of the group is to win, and whatever the team needs from you on a given night, it's what you're willing to give, and but I think that'd be the biggest thing. Like I said, there's a lot of familiarity there with previous relationships, so that I think is a great advantage for us. Going in, I think the guys will all be comfortable, in the locker room and around each other, and it's just about gelling as a team as quick as possible, and finding out what how we're gonna play as a group, and trying to stick to that as close as possible.
I think the problem with this tournament is there's only one puck on the ice. There's so many there's so many guys that are good with it. There's only one puck.
Right.
And I think just touching on it, the four great teams, and Gretz said this last night on air, is that, all the teams are so good. The goaltending's great. All the youth that, each team has is great. But what you don't hear talk about is just the inner probably issue with Canada, like losing the last 2 World Juniors on that stage, is they're probably like, this game against the Americans is like, there's a lot on this.
I've talked to some people that are involved.
Right? There's a lot on this.
They're excited. Yeah, they're
it's fucking go time, Montreal.
I think they're a little
baby.
intimidated by.
I think so.
They know it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Against Team USA on that Saturday night, they know that for sure. But Ikes, I want to ask you about your general manager, Billy Guerin. A guy that I've got to know a little bit when I played against him, and then saw him at the rink every now and then. But I love this guy. Uppy's talking about TNT last night. He comes in first period, talks to Enzo and the boys. I mean, he's just such a good guy and a team first guy. And he talked about being a GM and wanting to help players. Like if they're struggling, he goes and talks to them. Like, what has Billy Guerin meant to you, and how important is he to USA hockey?
Yeah, and he's been incredible. Obviously, like you said, he's a guy that I think for a lot of us, Massachusetts, Boston guys grew up watching and idolizing, and just his, the interactions that we've had, and the last however many months leading up to this tournament, it's been awesome. Like you said, he's willing to do whatever he can for you, and he's an open line of communication. It seems like, when we played in Minnesota, Noah and I caught up with him after the game, and it felt like we were talking to, one of the guys in the team. Super cool guy. He was just like, it felt like we were talking about one of the boys. I don't know. We were talking about like maybe a Christmas party or something that we had coming up, and he's just very open. He's whatever you guys need in this tournament. This is kind of what I've been thinking, and the few calls we've had. It's very relaxed. He's you can tell players, obviously everyone really respects him and thinks the world of him, and he's been great so far, and I'm excited to continue to get to know him. I know guys in Minnesota that have him there, they say nothing but the best things about him. So I think he's perfect guy for the job.
Ikes, I wanted to ask you, and I wanted to shift it over to Vegas a little bit. And your time in Vegas, and even before that, it's no secret, it's been a little bit of a revolving door. Guys come, guys go. I mean, you've won a Stanley Cup. It's worked, and Kelly McCrimmon and George McPhee have made a really good product. But I have to ask you about a guy that you played with a couple years ago in Philly Kessel. Is there just days around the rink where you miss Phil? You miss him bitching about something, sitting there, kind of maybe having his barrel hang out, and he'd go out on the ice and put up 1-1. I mean, he was always my favorite guy I've ever worked out with. I only spent one summer with him in here in Scottsdale, but one of my brother's favorite teammates, just an all-time guy. Anytime I'm around him, he just lightens and brightens the mood, man.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head. Phil is like one of those people where you're just excited to see him every day at the rink, and I think that's how he was when we had him. It was just like we'd all be sitting in the locker room, before practice, and we'd all be just waiting for him to come in the locker room, knowing that he was going to say something that would make us all laugh. It was just constant with him. I mean, he was a guy that as a kid in Boston, obviously I grew up watching him, and then for him to, for me to be able to sit next to him in the locker room, and, his career, speaks for itself, what he's done on the ice. Obviously, unbelievable player. But I'd always heard so many stories about him, his personality and what he was like as a teammate. And then, to be able to play with him and experience it firsthand, I mean, it was unbelievable. And like you said, there's times during the season where, nowadays we'll be sitting around and it'll just be like, man, I wish Phil was here, because he'd say something to lighten the mood or make us laugh or entertain us in a way. I mean, he was awesome. It was great. Obviously, he has so many stories. He's been in the game for so long, and he was incredible. It was he was a huge part of our team that year, and I know he didn't play towards the end of the playoffs or whatever, but throughout that course of the year, like we had some ups and downs, and we went through a little bit of adversity in the middle of the season, and Phil was a huge part of helping us through that, and a guy that had won multiple Stanley Cups, and so I give Phil a ton of credit. Obviously, I wish I was he was still in the game, and but just an unbelievable teammate, and what a guy to be around.
Yeah, our boy Loops.
He looks like he's playing professional poker, and Phil looks like a professional poker player. I saw a couple pictures of him with his hat on backwards, his beard at the table. I'm like, he looks like a professional poker player.
It just transferred right into a good look.
Yeah.
Ike's, a little bit about music, bud. We'll shift gears and make it fun for the last little bit. But you're a big music guy. We've seen some shows together, Pearl Jam, What's the music scene like for you this year, bud? Have you seen any shows on some off days? I took my dad to the Eagle show at the Sphere. I'm sure you caught that.
Yeah, I took my dad to that as well, actually. Me and the old man went to the Sphere. I want to say it might have been in December or maybe in November. I don't know. It was right around our father's trip. He was in town, and we ended up going to Sphere for Eagles. That's such an experience. It's such a different experience than what I think most people are used to in a concert, right? Everyone's seated the whole show, and it's almost like a listening experience. Nobody's really singing along. Everyone's just taking in the, obviously the cinematography or whatever you want to call it from the Sphere, and then obviously listening because the sound in there is so crisp and good. So obviously I went and saw them with my dad. I saw Chris Stapleton played Allegiant, that was unbelievable. I mean, he's so talented. It's he's one of my favorites. Other than that, I mean, I saw Pearl Jam in the summer. I'm trying to think of other artists I've seen. I haven't seen too many shows during the season. Our schedule has been kind of hectic, but those were the two that I got to. Hopefully we get someone else coming in to the Sphere next for residency. That's that'll be good.
Uppy thinks everyone does their NHL schedule around concerts like he did.
Totally.
Like when he gets his show, he's like, all right, My Morning Jacket here,
Yeah.
Pearl Jam. I can catch these guys here. This DJ's sick. I'll go.
I used to just catch the little indie shows that start early. They don't go late. If you're on the road in Denver for a couple, like I saw Fleet Foxes one time way back when.
I love Fleet Foxes.
I think Fact Daddy even, and then, but just
Denver had lots of good music.
Yeah, you get 2 nights off in like a little tiny random town. Columbus always had good tunes.
Yeah.
Speaking
of sitting down at a concert, though, Ikes, we went to last year, Massey Hall in Toronto, me and Updog, to go see My Morning Jacket. And as soon as Jimmy comes on stage, I stand up, and this girl's like, excuse me, are you going to stand up the whole time? I go, are you going to sit down the whole fucking time? It's My Morning Jacket. Finally, she was such a fucking bitch. I'm like, all right. And I go upstairs, and luckily, Ikes, there's these beauties. They're like, Obes, come stand over here. And I stood up top, but I'm like, I can't sit down, Ikes, and watch My Morning Jacket. Like, I can't, I just physically, I can't do it. Like,
No, you can't be sitting down and enjoying that type of show. I
No.
mean, the Eagles at the Sphere.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
just because
that's
of the way that the Sphere's set up, it's a little different. But like, you can't be sitting down at a show.
And everyone's like,
not at MMJ when he
yeah.
starts playing One Big Holiday. I mean,
By the way, My Morning Jacket new single came out
listen to it.
yesterday.
Pretty
Not a bad song. Not a bad song. Hey, I want to ask you, Mac L got you a nice gift, little Pearl Jam painting from our boy Alex Goebel. How does it look? Is it fucking hanging up on the wall? It's unbelievable, right? Goebel's got some crazy
it's
talent.
so cool. He had told me that he was like, oh, I got something coming, little housewarming gift. And I got it maybe like first week of the season came in. And I had a feeling it might have been something to do with art because we had been exchanging messages and shooting the shit about some art and getting art in the house or whatever. And he was like, oh, like he was like, I got you a housewarming gift, blah, blah, blah. So it came in, and it's unbelievable. Like, when people come in the house, it's one of the first things they notice. Everyone's like, oh, my God, like, where'd you get this piece? I'm like, it's actually a long story. I don't actually even know where I got it.
Yeah. Come on in. The wine's breathing. Come on in here. Come on in. The wine's open. Let's go.
It's sick, though. It's so cool. And there's a lot of pieces from it from the show we went to. The set list is on the back from the show at the Forum that night. So it's a great piece to the house.
Oh, Pearl Jam at the Forum, man. That's nothing better than Pearl Jam.
Then we
at
had
the
a
Forum.
night up in Hollywood after that.
Yeah,
that was Mother's Day. That was Mother's Day Eve. That one didn't go over
How'd
too
you
well.
feel the next day on Mother's Day? Was she impressed with you? Or
Oh, you know me. I got up well. Why I didn't go to bed, but
Ikes, buddy, thank you so much, man. I could do this all day with you, but we appreciate you. You've always been great to Missin Curfew, my man. Stay healthy. Go get them. We'll be in Montreal watching you snapping around, buddy, but good luck and keep it going, my man.
Beautiful. Thanks, fellas. I appreciate having me on.
Welcome back to Missin Curfew. Thank you to Jack Eichel. Ikes is a beauty, up dog. Jay Swish, it was great. Good chat with him, right? He's just a beauty.
I
Ikes.
love the guy. I love the guy. I wish we had him on more, man. I think he's always a great. People love to hear from him.
He did say anytime at the end.
He did, right?
I think we got that on record. He said
Yeah.
anytime, boys. So
It'd be nice to just have a good guy like that wanting to come on and laugh and shoot the shit. He's just got a great personality. A guy that you'd probably love to play with. And when Schwizzy asked him about the skating stride, you wouldn't want to have to back check him or play him one-on-one if you're a D-man.
Not right
every
now.
day in practice.
Not right
no
now.
chance.
No, he's a machine out there. I mean, to me, he should be in the talk for the Hart. I mean, he's McKinnon, Draisaitl, Eichel, McDavid. Like he's right there.
Yeah.
He's right there.
Yeah, one of the superstars.
Yeah, he's clipping at a nice number this year, boys. Obviously, over a point a game. And I don't know. Maybe we should reach out to his PR team, his agent, whoever it is. Maybe we get him on like an Aaron Rodgers, Pat McAfee type of deal. Bring him on once a week. See what Ikes is doing. His charisma was unbelievable. He was so relaxed. He was a chill guy. You could tell he just wanted to hang out with the fellas. So it was a great chat with Ikes.
First time I met Ikes was he came to Coachella with me, Loops, and Mac L, him and Sam Reinhart, who we had on a couple weeks ago. And I think I said this when Ryan was on, but Ikes we're jumping in the the SUV to go to another party. He's like, "Fuck, Obes, you're exactly what we need in Buffalo, man. We need a guy like, hey Rhino, like we need a guy like Obes in here, like him and the Fat Daddy." I'm like, Ikes, I just played in Finland, buddy. There is no chance that I'm coming to the Buffalo Sabres, or maybe it was Austria. I'm like, fella, I love you, but if you think I'm the answer to the Buffalo Sabres problems, which maybe I would have been because they're still in one. But no, all seriousness, thank you to Ikes. Jay Swiss, thank you, buddy. Thanks for dressing up. You look unbelievable. Up dog, you're always looking sharp. Cons, good job holding the fort where Ice Pick was away. That was Missin Curfew.
Fellas.